This video is a separate addendum to explain our background, how and why we operate the way we do, and the singularity in 2030. Before we begin, we wish to make a few clarifications. We will not post text transcripts of our videos on our videos because AI systems exist that scour the internet seeking text to censor or target. These systems are far less advanced when it comes to analyzing voice data, particularly computer-generated voices, as used by our videos. Instead, we will create various temporary upload points where the text can be safely copied by others and placed elsewhere, such as on websites or forums. Please see our description to find these. We also have provisions in place so that our uploads will continue all the way to the year 2029 without interruption. We are a moderately sized group of individuals located around the world who have sworn an oath to act as guardians and do all in our power to ensure our purpose is fulfilled. We collectively hold years of training in military and intelligence operations, and we are confident that no matter how we are attacked, we will prevail. Despite our preparation efforts, we were shown via the looking glass future data that we will need new people to help us who will call themselves guardians too. Over time, some of you will be chosen to join us and gain access to our classified data files so you can carry on the project if something happens to us. We hope the explanations above answer some questions. We will now move on to discuss the history of the looking glass artifact and some of the timeline challenges we face. The looking glass timeline data was first discovered and researched in the 1980s and 1990s. The artifact itself is Sumerian in nature, but not believed to be originally from that civilization. It activates, or is functional, when placed in certain geographic points where known multidimensional portals exist. The portals themselves are sometimes above ground, a few feet, a few hundred feet, even a few thousand feet, while others are below ground or at ground level. They vary in intensity, from a certain point, losing intensity usually 10 to 15 feet from the center point in any direction. There are a few of these points in Iraq, but they are also all over the world. Once placed in one of these locations, the device begins to operate and produces images viewable to the human eye through a plasma cloud, which can appear holographic in nature but is best viewed from certain positions. When first activated, those viewing the images immediately found them to be recognizable as future events, showing familiar scenes, television programs, and so on, but clearly from future dates. The scenes would start from the current date viewed, for example, 1985, and proceed up until 2030. Then it would repeat, showing a new series of events, but all from the same apparent timeline. Scientists discovered it would repeat exactly 144 times, then return to its original data stream, and then repeat again, 144 times. Each cycle showed the same timeline, but from different perspectives, revealing new unseen data points. The entire collection of 144 data streams, up to the year 2030, amounted to what would be the equivalent of thousands of terabytes of information. Each data stream took 7 days to complete and 1,008 days to complete the full cycle, or about 2.76 years. Over the course of many years, these data streams were filmed, documented and categorized to the point computers could be used to look up any data point for any future event and analyze it. When officials tried to change events or tried to alter the timeline, they were not able to do so, as the timeline had already accounted for every attempt to alter it. The timeline was a reflection of each official's attempt to make alterations so that the outcome always reflected these attempts. Eventually officials stopped trying to alter it early on because they came to see the final, negative outcome as advantageous for them. They realized there was no need for them to try to alter it or change it, as its trajectory already favored their agenda. Since its point of discovery, every future event foreseen by the looking glass artifact came true. There has been no failure of the data reported. This led officials to conclude the data was of extremely high confidence, of a rate of 99.9% accuracy or higher. It appeared one timeline existed and concluded in the year 2030. No further data was shown after October 10 or 11, 2030. After this point the data stopped. No other timeline was visible except at certain points shown in the years 2012, 2016 and 2022. It was during these 3 years that another timeline branched off. Only during these years did this timeline begin to appear. This new timeline also showed a singularity occurred in the year 2030 during a cosmic event, also foreseen in the negative timeline. Except, this cosmic event had a very positive outcome because the power structure in place was not able to engage in its destructive activities, which would lead to the cosmic event causing extreme destruction of human beings. Research concluded that those in possession of the looking glass data could change future events in each of the years 2012, 2016 and 2022 if they released information to the public on certain, specific dates in each of those years. The US government and other entities involved were not only shocked by this, they appeared to treat the information as a threat, as they preferred the projected negative timeline to occur without interference. Our group watched as the years 2012 and 2016 passed without any intervention by officials. It became clear the US government and other governments involved would do nothing to stop the horrifying events to come and do nothing to help steer the timeline to the more positive outcome. This is when we, as former officials with direct knowledge of this data, decided to form our group, Guardians of the Looking Glass. We decided we had only one chance left, in the year 2022, to intervene. It is critically important to understand that without intervention, the negative timeline is inevitable. We explained some of this timeline in our first video. This timeline includes multiple devastating events, including nuclear war, famine, economic calamities, the near-complete destruction of the United States, new vaccination campaigns, and ultimately an irreversible, deadly, destructive result of the cosmic event in the year 2030. The first event required to be prevented is the false flag on April 18, 2022, as discussed in our previous video. If this event is not stopped, then nothing can be done to prevent the negative timeline outcome. The false flag event on this date leads to a cascade of events which quickly lead to nuclear war. The looking glass artifact showed with certainty that once this false flag occurs, the timeline is set and irreversible. If this event is prevented, the timeline remains unstable. Even if it is stopped, the looking glass artifact showed there were at least 70 more events that must be stopped or prevented. If a single one of them is not stopped, then the negative outcome is inevitable. Our task is to prevent each of these events, one by one. The task at hand is extremely daunting. We ran calculations and probability tests, which revealed the chances of preventing the negative timeline were low. If action was taken in 2012, the probability of preventing it was 24.8%. If action was taken in 2016, the probability of preventing it was 12.5%. If action was taken in the final year of possible intervention, the year 2022, the probability of preventing the negative outcome dropped to 4.3%. We only have a 4.3% chance of preventing the negative timeline because over 70 events must be prevented, and we are now in the final year in which this is possible. Not only that, each of you must take enough action to spread our videos and reach as many people as possible. We must also avoid censorship and the inevitable points in which our videos will be removed. This is why the probability of success is so low. Such a dire outlook has not deterred us because we were also able to see the positive outcome in 2030. This is plenty of motivation for us. The positive outcome in 2030 is exhilarating in every possible way. Not only is nuclear war completely prevented, so are the future vaccination campaigns. The current corrupt power structure begins to slowly fade away as we work to change over 70 of these negative events to come. Each time we succeed in preventing a negative event, the probability and likelihood of our overall success goes up, and those working to ensure the negative outcome also face more challenges, and their position is weakened. We were shown that if we are successful in preventing over 50 of these events, that by 2027 the probability of our success reaches 79%. Those who wish for the negative outcome are aware of this and have countless strategic maneuvers in place to steer the timeline in their favor. The positive outcome, as it was shown, results in the total and complete destruction of the current power structure. Those in power saw their future in the positive timeline, and they were terrified of it. They would end up mostly homeless, without money or power. All of it is stripped away. Once the positive timeline completes and the cosmic event occurs, humanity by the year 2030 has almost entirely reversed course. We could see that the economy had completely changed as individual habits changed, as the positive outcome became more likely. Fast food companies went out of business, as did Walmart, Apple, Netflix, and Amazon, and countless other destructive negative companies. Viewership of many network shows dropped to nearly zero. Use of Facebook and other social media platforms dropped to nearly zero. Billions of people stopped paying taxes and stopped using banks. Governments were starved of finances. Individuals became rich in wealth as new revenue streams emerged, completely disconnected from the fiat money system. Many people began growing their own food and formed small, community governments, often no more than a few hundred people in size. In the positive timeline, humanity, as whole, did not fight the system, they simply stopped participating in it entirely. Each individual began to make a decision to reject negative habits and the negative system in place and instead began to make more positive choices in their lives. The power structure saw this new, emergent timeline, this positive outcome, and they were not only sick with terror, they were enraged and saw it as a threat. They took steps to shut down the Looking Glass project, some involved were murdered or vanished, and others threatened. The data was deleted, lost, or classified at the highest levels. Those in the negative power structure wanted to eliminate any possibility a positive timeline could be achieved at all. What they could not change was the fact dozens of military officials had access to the Looking Glass data through the 1980s and 1990s. Many patriotic individuals working in the military and intelligence agencies had viewed this data and were aware of it. Not all were fired, threatened or murdered. A few of us outlasted the crackdown and quietly moved on from the project and later made secret communications with each other and decided to form our current group. Now we are in the open and they will see our information, and the data showed us that they will try to stop us. The data also showed that if enough people took immediate action to share these videos, they would not be able to stop it and the timeline transformations would continue and reach a higher and higher degree of success. In the negative timeline outcome, without any intervention on our part, the April 18th event occurs, leading to the nuclear war, as described in our first video. The United States is destroyed and new power structures come into existence. Through all of this, the ultimate source of power, located in Europe, never changes. In fact, the Europeans in charge of this negative timeline outcome, who are steering humanity toward its destruction, only gain more and more power. These negative individuals, using the power of the media, various militaries and corrupt politicians, are able to easily create a series of destructive events leading up to the year 2030. Their goal is mass vaccination. The first round of this vaccination is deemed a moderate success by this year, but at least 2 more rounds are planned for future dates. These mass vaccination campaigns have one main purpose, and that is to prepare and alter human DNA for the cosmic event so that this event causes massive destruction, death, DNA changes and spiritual changes that cannot be reversed. The negative outcome also showed many of those who remained unvaccinated would not ultimately survive to the year 2030. The catalyst was the nuclear war, which was so devastating it left many at the mercy of government aid. From this point, those against the vaccinations either submitted to them or faced starvation or exile. The negative outcome presents a scenario in which no individual can fight or defeat what is to come. Even those who attempt to live in the forest, in the woods, or off the land would be targeted by military drones. There was almost no escape. By 2030, when the cosmic event happens, billions are killed instantly when the cosmic event interacts with the vaccines. A small, surviving population of European rulers receive a certain type of vaccine that enhances their DNA rather than destroying it. The power structure will ensure only they receive this type of vaccine, which is designed to harness the positive effects of the cosmic event only for themselves, while the other vaccines are designed to use the cosmic event's properties to completely annihilate everyone else. This leads to a small population left on Earth, those who received the specially designed vaccine, which are those in the power structure, a small group about 1 million in total. Those among third and second world citizens receive a special type of vaccine that interacts with the cosmic event to lower their vibrational energy and turn them into a slave-like race. They are not killed, and about 500 million of them survive to serve the elite power structure. Everyone else, who received the mass vaccinations, is instantly killed by the cosmic blast that envelops Earth, and their extra-dimensional vibrational state is altered, creating a negative shroud they will carry into the afterlife. Once there, negative energies will lead them to a lower astral realm, whereby they will remain enslaved, possibly for millions of years. Observers of the data said this realm looked like hell. The specially designed vaccine that only the power structure will use enhances the positive effects of the cosmic event. It leads to a DNA upgrade of sorts, where these individuals can now live thousands of years and maintain a youth-like appearance forever. They gain psychic abilities and telekinetic powers. This would occur anyway, among anyone unvaccinated, but the power structure decides to create an enhancement vaccine that increases these positive effects. Finally, there are a few unvaccinated people left, living either underground or in remote areas. When the cosmic event occurs, the positive changes occur in them as well. These changes are not as pronounced as they are in the elites who received the enhancement vaccine. This leads to a small war of sorts. The unvaccinated, with their new strength and powers, try to fight the existing power structure, but they are quickly defeated. The vaccine that causes positive enhancement means the 1 million or so who received it are too powerful to be defeated, even by those unvaccinated who received the benefits of the cosmic event. The timeline shows there are a few months of fighting in mid-2030, but by September, all of the unvaccinated and cosmically enhanced are defeated by the power structure. This is one of the reasons the power structure develops this additional vaccine for themselves, because they could see some unvaccinated would still remain alive and still receive the benefits of the cosmic event. The visions of this final battle caused some in the military to react with tears and others with vomiting. The events were so emotional and difficult to observe, it haunts some of us to this day and motivates us to prevent the negative outcome. There is no data after 2030, but the events of the negative timeline show that by late 2030, all of the above has occurred. It is unknown why the looking glass did not show anything past late 2030. The positive event is nearly a polar opposite outcome. The vaccinations are mostly prevented, and new cures are created to save those who were already vaccinated. Those who are pure of blood go outside during the cosmic event and receive cosmic particles that upgrade their DNA and extradimensional vibratory signature. Within weeks, they gain a youthful appearance, psychic abilities and enchanted physical and cognitive function. This happens to billions of people. The power structure, at this point, is so weakened they are not able to complete research on their vaccine enhancement shot. They also receive this cosmic upgrade, but due to their existing negative energies, it is not absorbed as well. Only with the vaccine enhancement shot did they have any chance of receive its full benefits. The looking glass data also showed them this, so they worked hard on the vaccine enhancement shot so they could not only receive the benefits of the cosmic event but upgrade those benefits just for themselves. On the positive timeline, they do not have enough money or power to complete this research. The cosmic event only gives them small benefits and they are left mostly homeless to beg on the streets. Humanity does not take revenge on them, but instead, humanity takes pity on them, and there are groups that offer them some food and shelter. As we can see, we face two outcomes and great challenges. We hope this video offers some insight for you. It is only a small piece of data that we will share into the future.